Welcome to the podcast. Today, my guest is Jase Lansky. Jase has done a few albums in the studio and has got some new material coming out very, very soon. But today we're going to talk about where he started and the journey he's taken to get to where he is today. Hey Jase, how you going?
Scotty, thanks for having me, buddy. Very excited to be here.
What got you into music and how old were you when that happened?
Mate, well, I'm a Tassie boy originally, so I sort of started playing with music when I was sort of growing up in high school because we had a music class there and our music teacher there was Mr. Featherstone. And man, he was just a mad, strict music.
Launceston?
No, in Hobart.
In Hobart?
Yeah, Newtown High I went to, so pretty wild high school, old boys school, but it was a good school to go to for young kids growing up. And he was a mad musician, very strict, and it sort of put me off music a little bit because I just didn't follow that strict guideline of music, and they taught classical music down there when I first started playing guitar. And as I got into playing classical music, I realised it wasn't what I wanted to do. And so it sort of put me off music a little bit. But I still kept my guitar at the time.
What sort of music were you into listening to?
Oh, buddy, back then it was like a more Bon Jovi sort of stuff. So it's like, I wanted to rock out and here he's got me playing classical music. It was like, wow, okay, different. But that was a style of music back then when we were in sort of grade 7, grade 8. That's what teachers were teaching you back then, which is good. Sort of, it did structure me in a way that's got me to where I am today with music. So I look back on those times and I think, I can understand what they were trying to do back then. And it's all about structuring your style of music, structuring how you play guitar, how you play, like even now I'm playing keyboards now. So it's all about understanding the structure, your beats, your timing. And now I really appreciate that. But back in the day, I was like, oh man, what am I doing this
for?
This
is just hard work and there wasn't a lot of enjoyment.
Hard. So, and we also used to have to borrow the school guitar back then. So I think they had, might have been 6 guitars that we could take home for the night. And I tell you what, if you didn't bring that guitar back the next day, it was like, man, it was rough. It was really rough. So they had corporal punishment back then. So it was like canes and detentions and all sorts of stuff. But no, it was good. I was always good. I was always good. So that's how I started in music. And I sort of lost a little bit of interest in it then because of the classical music style that we were going through. And it wasn't until I sort of left school and I started sort of getting more prominent with music, listening to a lot more styles of music, and then decided to form just a neighbourhood street band. And our very first practice session was in my mum and dad's lounge room in Lutana. And myself and a couple of buddies were there. Mum and Dad had gone out for the day, and we just made this ruckus, and we were not very good. We were not very good. Like I think the neighbours were complaining to Mum and Dad when they came back, but it was good. Well, we had a fat time. It was really enjoyed it. So we went from there, and I started off I just wanted to play an instrument back then. I wasn't so much into singing at that stage, and sort of just playing guitar, just rhythm guitar, and sort of evolved from there, and. Probably a few years later, I started singing a lot more, but not to the point where I could go out professionally and start singing. It wasn't until I was living in New South Wales where I found out that I could actually hold a note here and there. I was playing in a band down there, in a pub band in a little town called Bateman's Bay, and I joined a band, and again, I was just playing rhythm guitar for the band, and the lead singer fell ill, or he just had a moment in time and just couldn't sing a couple of the songs, and I sort of jumped in. I thought I can have a crack at this because I knew the song. I thought, I had a crack, and then I actually started enjoying it. I went, no, this is pretty cool. And
what prompted the move from Tassie to Bateman's Bay?
It was just an evolution of my life. It was sort of I grew up in Tassie, and I'd never, till I was 18 years of age, I'd never been out of the States. So I didn't even know what the rest of Australia was like. All I'd seen about Australia, well, mainland Australia, was what I saw on TV. So it was like, for me, when I was old enough to leave home, it was like, I've got to go and explore. I've really got to go and have a look. So, and for me, it was like just a mind-blowing experience. Like, as I said, growing up in Tasmania as a Tasmanian kid, 16 years, all I knew was Hobart, the state of Tasmania, Port Arthur, places like that, and that's all I really knew in life. Besides, as I said, what I saw on TV and what they taught me at school. And so when I left Tassie, as I said, I think I was about 17 or 18. The first place I came to was the Gold Coast.
Okay.
I was here for a little while, and then I decided from there that I wanted to travel around and have a look at the place. So I went to New South Wales and lived in Wagga Wagga for a while, lived in Canberra, Bateman's Bay, sort of just travelled all over the place and really enjoyed it. And it wasn't until I sort of hit Bateman's Bay and Wagga Wagga that I started to really structure myself with music. Just watching other people play their instruments, watching them sing, and it was one of those things that, especially Wagga was a funny town, and the interest I had there was more music rather than the town itself. So I just wanted to learn from musicians down there, and I met some great musicians down there, and they were so cool and so talented.
So I guess it was one of those things, the connections and the people, that's what drew you to Bateman's Bay?
Well, it is. It's like anything in life. It's like you find a connection with certain people, and that's where your life takes you. Like if I sort of started hanging out with a bunch of brickies, I'd probably be a brickies labourer by now. You know what I mean? So it was like the people that I was hanging around with that was right into their music, right into the music scene. I sort of got more and more involved in it and just really enjoyed how they structured their music. I'd go to their band practices and just sit there listening and go, man, this is so awesome. And so then I got more involved again with my music and just sort of practiced and learnt and started finding my own skill set. Not that I've got a lot of skill sets, but just started finding myself with music. And as I said, so I went from there, moved to Bateman's Bay, was playing in a band there, and just a covers band and a pub covers band, and just, the opportunity to come up to drop in a couple of songs. So I dropped in a couple of songs, and a week later, I'm lead singer in this band. I was like, oh, crap, you've got to be joking. So, but yeah, it was really cool. So it was just a mad transition. So I sort of had to learn real quick a bunch of songs to sing, a bunch of songs to play. And I sort of dropped off playing guitar from that stage and just concentrated on singing cover songs and pub songs. And so I went from being in a pub band to finding my alternative modes. Like I started getting into Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all those sorts of artists. And to the point I actually went to Seattle and was lucky enough to sit in a bar where Kurt Cobain used to play at and drink at. And that was, to me, that was, as a young guy then, that was the ultimate for me in music.
So why the trip to Seattle? It was a holiday?
My girlfriend at the time, but my wife now, she had to go over there for a conference, and I was lucky enough to tag along, and we happened to be in Seattle. Well, the opportunity was in Seattle, and I thought, Seattle, we're going to Seattle, because the city of grunge music, and that's what I was right into, and I just loved it. So yeah, we were lucky enough to go. I think it was called the Crocodile Cafe at the time. I think that's what the pub was called, and it was just an eye-opening experience. So I sort of enjoyed Seattle, and then sort of came back here, and was right into my grunge music. Was playing in grunge alternative bands, writing a lot of alternative music at that stage.
Were you recording as well as writing?
We recorded. I was in a band called Swerve at the time. And Crash as well, and a band called Toy Box. So Toy Box was a renowned alternative band on the Gold Coast, and I was lucky enough to be in that. And that was like a 7-piece band, and the musos in that were just amazing. And it was I really enjoyed that time in my life. Carl Brown was the bass player. He was a great bass player, had a 5-string bass, and he sort of led the band. He was sort of the band manager, sort of, just per se. So he'd make sure everything was structured, and we'd go and play our gigs, and it just had a fat time with that. And it was all Triple J sort of alternative sort of music. And that's where I thought my life was going to head, was that style. And we brought out a couple of songs. They got on the radio, didn't do a lot with them. And I thought, I sort of started trying to write different styles of music, but still in that genre, just to see where it would take me. And then I started listening to other artists, talking to other people, listening to a lot of different styles to see if that would assist as well. And so we did that for a while. So Toy Box sort of was around for about 2 years. Then we sort of shrunk the band down a bit and into a 5-piece. Because as you would know, like being in a 7-piece band on the Gold Coast, it was like really tough to get gigs for a 7-piece band.
Well, it's not tough to get gigs, it's tough to get
rooms for a 7. Yeah, well, that too. that was fun. And that's another story. It's like, wow, yeah. So I went from a 7-piece band down to a 5-piece band, and again with Cal Brown as bass player, and Amanda Gurr, she was a keyboardist, and started writing that style of music still. And I just evolved from there, and we played a lot of local gigs around the Gold Coast. And again, as I said, that's where I thought my life was going to be, was just playing that style of music, just writing that style of music. But it wasn't getting me to where I thought I wanted to be. And as any songwriter will tell you, I love writing songs. I'll sit there to write a song all day if I could, like every day if I could. And a lot of the time I do. Like, you'll just have moments where you just write, you'll be inspired by something or an event or a life situation, and it just hits you and you just write about it.
Yeah.
My style of writing is pretty much that. I'll write and then I'll think about the tune after that. or I write a verse, then I'll revert to the chorus and then think of the tune after that I want to have that chorus on. But yeah, we're talking about my alternative days. So that's what I was doing back then. And so we played, and then I joined. I sort of moved on from that and started playing in duos and trio bands, and sort of I started going not backwards, but I started going the other side. And don't get me wrong, I really, really enjoyed that as well, because it was just rock music. But I got myself back into playing pub rock music. Again, I loved that, enjoyed that, but it kept me on the Gold Coast, which was great because that's where I live, of course. But it wasn't inspiring me enough to keep me motivated with music. And my wife and I were back in America. I've travelled to America a fair bit now, thanks to music. And we were in America, and I went to Memphis and went to Gracelands there. And Gracelands, if you haven't been to Gracelands, it's one of those places where, for me, it just took my breath away, purely because I was standing in a room where Elvis recorded half of the Blue Album in the Jungle Room, which is in Gracelands, downstairs in Gracelands there, and listening to the lady discuss this album, and that brought me right back to as a kid, when my parents, growing up, my dad would always play this Elvis Presley's Blue Album, and that took me right back to being a kid, and that just drove my music back and inspired me to go, this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing to be standing in this room where Elvis recorded parts of his Blue Album. I just went, no. And I got to tell you, mate, it brought tears to my eyes. I was like, wow, and it inspired me that much that I said to my wife, I said, man, this is. I've got to revert. I've got to look at my music style, and see what I'm doing wrong, or not wrong, but just find where I want to be inspired at. Yeah. And she said, yeah. She said, and my wife's very, very. She's very helpful in those sorts of situations, and very encouraging. And so I thought about it. And anyway, we just happened to travel, after we left Memphis, we happened to travel to Nashville. Now, I'd never been to Nashville in my life, never. Got to Nashville, I'm going, this is a pretty cool town. And it was like Party Central.
Yeah.
And we hit a few bars down in Broadway down in the main drag there, and every musician I came across, bands I came were just fantastic. The style of music was just this country rock style. And I went, that's me, that's where I'm heading, that's where I'm going. So I love that. We stayed there I think we were there for about a week at that stage. And it just inspired me so much. So I said to Sharina, this is me. This is what I want to do. I said, whether we make it or not, I don't care. This is just where I want to take my music. And she said, okay. So what we did, we came back to the Gold Coast, and I gave myself 12 months from that time. From the time we landed, I gave myself 12 months to write enough songs to get me back to Nashville to record. And everyone sort of said, you won't do it, blah, blah, blah. My wife put up a dream board on the wall and a picture board. And that just inspired me more and more and more to write more, to know exactly where I'm heading. And so we did that. I wrote about, in that 12-month period, I think I wrote about 30 different songs and sent them over to a producer in Nashville. And within that 12-month period, I was back on a plane to Nashville, recording with a studio in Nashville. And we picked out 10 tracks on that I'd written. And we recorded those on my debut album, which is called Rip It Up. And again, the whole style is just country rock. And that album sort of won numerous awards. So within the country genre scene, or country rock genre scene. So I was, very proud of that.
So you actually had we're just sort of setting goals. You had you called it a dream board.
Oh, definitely. You've got to set goals. Like any musician will tell you, you need to set goals. If you want to sort of just be a muck around musician, well and good, that's fine. But if you want to sort of push yourself to the next goal or next set, you just need to have those goals set. And again, admittedly, I've sort of dropped off a little bit because I've been trying to concentrate on the Hella Good Time album, as you know. So I've been trying to sit back here and write that and record it here as well. But you do need to have goals, and every musician should set goals for themselves just so they can see where they're heading. And
so you had the dream board.
Yeah.
And it was on the wall.
Yep.
What was written down? What were the very specific things that you had written down?
It was songs, it was travel, it was inspiration, it was pictures of when my wife and I were previously in Nashville. It was pictures of us talking about going back to Nashville, and it was just a lot of imagery. And like every day I'd look at this board, and like I'd even get people around to my house, so I'd write a song and I'd get them around to my house and I'd play it live in the house to see what they thought of this song. And so we went down that track as well. I'm going, well, what do you think of that one? They'd go, oh yeah, that's all right, but what about this? So my most favourite song off that album would have to be a song called Ain't Thinking About Monday. If you get a chance, go and have a listen to it. But that's...
I'll put the links down below where people can go and check it out.
Sure. That's probably one of my favourite songs because it's about myself and Sri and two of our best friends, and we just travelled around.
You've got a big four-wheel drive here, and you tow a caravan around, and you like getting out into the country a bit.
Yes.
Did you do that in America as well?
Well, what we did, we didn't get a caravan. We just hired a car and we just travelled. We went from one side of America up through Sturgis, over to Chicago, New York, right down to Florida and back up again, and just spent 6 weeks travelling with no care in the world. And like every time your Mondays come around, you think about work. So that's what this inspired me to write this song, Ain't Thinking About Monday, because we did not have to think about Monday or getting up to go to work. We were just partying the whole time we were there and just meeting some great people. And yeah, so that's what inspired that song. And so we play it now. It gets played on radio now still, which is really cool.
Yeah. Just a quick interruption to say thank you for watching the podcast. Please hit the subscribe button. It's very early days for us and we're trying to grow things, and you can help. Please share, hit the subscribe button. It makes a massive difference. Thank you very much. It would seem to me that a lot of what inspires you is the interaction with people.
It does. My inspirations come from, when I'm writing songs, comes from life experiences and my own personal experiences. So there's a lot of songs that I write that reflect back on me as a person and my family. Hell, a Good Time I wrote about my wife. Like, it's a really weird song, but it's a great, don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic song. And when you listen to the lyrics, you go, what's he talking about there? But I actually wrote it about my wife. I was playing it at Texas one weekend. And
Texas, when you say Texas, it means Texas in
Queensland.
Australia.
Yeah, Texas, Queensland.
There's a town called Texas. It's not the state in the US.
So I was playing out there for a festival out there, and a country music festival out there, and I'd done my set, and I had to come back and do another set. And anyway, it just happened to be AFL Grand Final day, and I'm a mad AFL supporter. But Collingwood were playing, and so I'd finished my set, going back to the pub that we're staying at. So my wife and I sort of sitting in the bar and watching the AFL on the screen there, and had a few beers, and anyway, we had to race back to get back to where I was.
Got to perform again?
Yes. And anyway, where the main gate was way around the road, and we'd had a couple of beers at this stage. Well, I'd had a couple of beers at this stage, and I thought, there's no way I'm walking that far, because it was on a showground. I thought, there's no way I'm walking that far. So we found this shortcut, this little street, and within this street was the fence to the showgrounds, and we thought, we can jump that. So I thought, yeah, I can do that. So I got up and I was able to jump over this fence. Anyway, my wife was sort of stuck on the other side, so I was trying to coax her to get up this fence, and she got up, but she got stuck on the fence. And I'm in fits of laughter because she could not get off this fence, and it was the weirdest thing, but we're having a hell of a good time. And so the song is called Hell. I finally got it off the fence, which was great. And then security came around, and they were very cranky because we were jumping the fence and we were going to kick us out. And I said, oh, you can't, man, because I'm like one of your main acts here. So so they let us back in, so they were fine with that. But the song is about just having a good time. Yeah, so that's what that one's about. And again, that song, I wrote that song, released that here in Australia and overseas, and that charted. That was in the top 10 country charts around Australia here, which is great. So, and it gets a lot of airplay overseas as well.
There ain't nothing like country that you can't get wrong. Ain't nothing like old guitars and trucks and a wailing song. There ain't nothing like a preacher in a small town pew. There ain't nothing like a John Deere dealer book that's on the bayou. Yeah, there ain't nothing like a John Deere dealer book that's on the bayou.
Do you get back to Tasmania much?
Tassie for me is home, and as you know, we've recorded a song called Home, and that song it gets released next month to radio, and we're about to do a video for it as well. But that song to me is all about my reflection back on Tassie or back on home. So it's sort of hard to explain without hearing the song first, but it is coming. Trust me, it is coming. So yeah, I'd love to get back to Tassie. I was there last year. My auntie had passed away, so we had to shoot back to Tassie for that reason. And I don't like going to Tassie for those reasons. I like to go to Tassie to catch up with friends and family and that sort of stuff. But since I've been travelling and playing music a lot, I don't get there as much as I'd like to. Like last year, I think I spent the whole 52 weeks of the year just travelling around Australia, just playing in different pubs and so forth. Again, I was just getting my music out there, but it does take a toll. So this year I just wanted to concentrate on being back on the Gold Coast for as long as I can, catching up with my family here and friends here, and then getting this album, next album done.
It's going very well too.
It's getting there, yeah. Well, I'm in Tassie in November, so I'm coming down there for a show, Tassie, so look out. But yeah, I'd love to spend a bit more time down there because my mum still lives down there, all my relatives still live down there and friends and so forth. So, but I don't get there as much as I'd like to. Yeah, well, every song I write is an emotional song from my part. So like this, you'll hear a lot of my new stuff. Even on the Rip It Up album, a lot of songs there are quite emotional to me, and some I can't even play live. There's one I wrote about my dad. My dad passed away a few years back, and he was a big inspiration with my music. Like, he was probably my biggest fan at the time. No matter what I did, no matter what I played, he'd be there clapping. You know, so he was like, man. And he just passed away before I was lucky enough to go to Nashville and record over there. And I was just devastated because my dad and I were like as most dads are, you was my best friend sort of thing. Yeah. So when he passed away, it sort of took me back a few more steps behind. But it inspired me at the same time, as weird as that sounds, it inspired me to perform, or trying to perform better than what I used to, just so to make someone like that proud, sort of thing. And so there's a song on that album, Rip It Up album, that I wrote purely for my dad, and it's called See You Again. Again, that's a very emotional song. Yeah. So, but have a listen to that one when you get a chance, and you'll understand the momentum that song brings when I write songs like that. It's a very heartfelt song. But then I'll also go on the other side and I'll write something that's a little bit more catchier and just something that gives you a bit more fun as well. So songwriting for me is it's an inspiration, I think. I try and write for how I feel at that time. Beach Time is another single that's coming on the Hella Good Time album, and I wrote that purely as a beach track, just being at the beach and having a few glasses of whatever you drink and just having a good time with that. So yeah, there's all different styles of music that I write when it comes to that sort of.
I guess you're trying to cover all of the good times, the bad times.
That's it. Well, I see a lot of artists and a lot of them write a lot of commercially viable songs, which is fantastic. So a lot of songs I listen to on the radio don't have that heart and soul in it. They're just commercial songs that are there for a reason, to make the record companies money. And that's what they're there for. And good kudos to those guys, but a lot of those songs don't have the heart that you find.
They don't have the emotional connection.
Yeah. So when I listen to country artists, you can tell, you can find the emotion within their songs. Like, especially if you go back to, you look at people like Travis Tritt and guys like that, and there's so many artists. Brooks and Dunn. You just listen to those songs and you think, wow, and what were they going through to write this song? Yeah, what happened in their life for them to go, yeah, I can write this, or what were they experiencing at that time? So, and that's what I try and bring to my music. It's like trying to let people understand what I'm actually going through at that moment in time when I'm writing that song or writing that lyric or writing that chorus. Yeah. And yeah, I'm by no means a great songwriter, but I just like to tell a story and get people involved in those stories. So that's.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the real test of it is if the emotional context is there and people can relate to that.
Yeah,
that's what it's all really about.
That's it. And if you can see someone tapping their foot to one of your songs, they're listening. So, and that's what I always look at for when I'm playing, or even when I'm doing live gigs. If they're not dancing, if it's a quiet song but they're tapping their foot, you've got them. Would
you say that you're an introvert or an extrovert?
Oh, it's totally an introvert. Really, as mad as I may look, I'm very, very shy, and I think the stage when I'm playing somewhere that takes me away from the onus of having to not so much relate with people, but to have to talk. I get very tongue-tied a lot of the time, and
so you find that you can actually convey or put yourself out there through music.
Definitely.
Whereas if the spoken word would necessarily, it'd be a lot harder.
That is, like even now when I attend parties, like if we go to parties and so forth and I'm with a group of people and having a conversation about things I don't really know about, then I don't sort of get too involved. But if someone talks to me about music or travelling or any of those sorts of things that I have an understanding about, yeah, well and good. But 9 times out of 10, I'll sort of just sit back and listen. I'm a sort of more of a listener than a doer or than a driver.
Well, I guess if you're a listener, that's where you learn things.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And I'd love to be a driver. Like for my kids, I want to drive them to be the best they can possibly be, but that's within my own family circle. So when it comes to other people, like I let other people drive the ship.
So with your kids, with the way things have gone for you with playing music, is that something you would encourage them to do?
We did, but we didn't encourage them to do it because I wanted them to do it. We sort of spoke about them doing it because they want to do it. And as you know, Scotty, like music is a hard gig, man. Like if you want to make a living out of music, it's a tough, hard gig and it's a long road to go down just to try and make a coin. And I remember, man, I was playing in pubs and clubs for I think we might have got a beer and a countery at one stage, you know. It's a tough gig and I never want to see my kids struggle like that. So I always push my kids to be as best they can be for what they want to do, not for what I want them to do. So I guess that's a difference. I don't know if it's the right way of doing it, but...
No, I think it is. If someone's passionate about something and they really want to do it,
yep,
then being able to encourage them to do it is a great thing. You can educate people about how to go about things as much as you possibly can, but at the end of the day, you've got to let them go and do their own thing.
That's it.
It's not something that you can dictate for them, because I think if you do that, they will end up resenting you.
And my ultimate goal in life is to concentrate more on songwriting than being an artist or being a performer. So some of my songs out there are in America at the moment that we've sent to production houses. So I'm hoping some big artist will pick up one of my songs one day and go, yep, Jase Lansky, beautiful. That we want him again. So
that's one of the goals of the songwriting, is to maybe get some other larger artist or anybody else to record it and have a hit with it.
That's it. Well, not even so much a hit, just I'd love to hear what some of my songs sound like with someone else singing them.
Okay.
Like I've written a couple of blues songs, but I don't quite have that blues voice where I can hear my song and I can hear who can sing it, and I'm thinking, man, I just wish you would sing this song for me, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like I'll continue performing because I enjoy that. Otherwise, I'm going to be a very boring guy if I'm not up there playing. But my ultimate goal is to concentrate more on the writing side, and send it out to other people that would be interested in playing my music.
So obviously, when you travelled to Nashville, you had a good time and you spent a week there. How did you go about organising to record over there? How did that come about?
Yeah, so when that 12 months was up, so my wife and I were back on a plane headed to Nashville. So we lived in Nashville about 6 months.
Oh, so you lived over there?
Yeah, so we were there. We hired an apartment over there, right? It would have been, I think it was a $6 Uber fare from downtown Broadway, so which was great. And I think it was called 99 Apartments, which was just across the road from the Bicentennial Park, and that was amazing. And we just happened to be there. We were there for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Eve, and well after that as well. But New Year's Eve, every year in Nashville, they have this mad concert over there, which is free, that they put on. And they get some amazing artists. And we just happened to be there across the park. Keith Urban was performing on New Year's Eve in the park, and we're sitting on our balcony while he's doing a sound check the day before New Year's Eve, and my wife and I are sitting going, how good is this? So we went to the park the next night, and they had, I think it was 1,200 Horsemen, Styx, Keith Urban, and it was just amazing.
What a great lineup.
Oh, man, it was just so good. So, yeah, so as I said, so we got to live in Nashville for a while there recording and just enjoying the experience. We got to go to places like Gatlinburg and all sorts of places to have a look at while we were there. So it wasn't just recording or sort of and writing. It was we actually got to experience the place a fair bit, which is fantastic. Also got involved with, and for any upcoming musician or any artist that's looking to go to somewhere like Nashville, I got involved with the Nashville Songwriters Association. They are tops, man. They are so
very
good.
encouraging.
Oh, wow. So I joined them, and you pay a fee per year, an annual fee, and I got there, and this place was just packed with people in my situation. They're just artists, American artists, wanting to write songs or be performers and so forth. And when I got there, I was the only Australian there at that time, and I thought, nah, this is just going to be bad, because some Australian guy coming in to try and step on their toes. There was no way I was stepping on anyone's toes. They were so encouraging. Like the people I met there, this is what got me into writing with these other people as well and recording with these other people. The people that I met at this Nashville Songwriters Association were just amazing, encouraging, helpful, and couldn't do more for you. Whereas I would have thought it would have been the other way around. Like everyone's there for their own purpose. I was more there to learn, listen, and study and be better at what I was doing in the first place. And they were so good. So, and they used to have, I don't know if they still do, but every Thursday night they'd get together at their studios there, and they'd have guest artists come in and talk about songwriting. They'd have guest artists come in and talk about producing. They'd have people from record companies come through and talk about what they look for in songs, artists. And they have different styles of music. They talk about, in America, unless you're a massive artist, they won't play songs that are over 3 minutes long on a radio. So they try and keep all songs down to around 2.5 to 3 minutes. So like you'll notice now with all my songs, I try and keep them down to around that 3 minute mark.
If you're a bigger artist, you might have a chance.
Oh yeah, if you are like in the country, especially in country, if you're like your Keith Urbans or your those sorts of guys, yeah, you're good to go. But like if you're an up-and-coming artist trying to get your music played on Nashville radio stations...
Yeah, the shorter the song, the more ads they can fit in.
That's it, yes. So that's how they look at it.
And that's how they make money.
Yeah, well...
So you're helping them out to make money.
To make money, that's it. Well, when we recorded Rip It Up, so we'd put this album down, and so me thinking, giving people value for money, like every one of those songs that I recorded for the Rip It Up album all went for about 4 minutes. I'm thinking... Mate, we're selling one of $30 CD, so you're getting 4 minutes per track, so you're getting a good 40 minutes for your money. I'm thinking, that's good. When I went to these guys and showed them my CD and played them a couple of my songs, they're going, yep, sounds good, cut it down. I went, really, how much? They told me to. So we had to go back to the studio, cut out verses.
So you went back and redid it?
Back and redid them again, yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was quite time consuming, but also taught me about, this is what I must do to have any sort of compete within this market. Yeah, any up-and-coming artist or singer-songwriter out there, just, get in touch with the National Songwriters Association, and they are very, very encouraging, very helpful.
So would you say your path through the industry has been a case of learn as you go?
I had to learn as I went, yeah. I wished I'd known what I know now before I went to Nashville, but I would never change it, don't get me wrong. But if I'd had the contacts here plus over there at that time, it would have made my life or my journey into country music a lot easier. That you have a good publisher, you have a good agent, and a good promoter for your music. If you're promoting your music to radio stations, iHeart, even to community radio stations, they're big on country music and big on helping up-and-coming artists out as well. But you need to have those contacts. So, and again, it's really hard to get hold of those sorts of people if you don't have someone in your corner doing that for you. And it all costs, don't get me wrong, it all costs money too. So it's not a cheap exercise. So you've just got to,
it's an investment in your future.
It is, yeah. And to be honest, like Sheree and I, my wife and I, we've done quite well with music as a songwriter. And that's through just, I wouldn't promote Spotify, but that's a means to an end. For artists, it's a real argument at the moment with streaming services as an artist, because you just, each time they stream one of your songs, I think you make 0.006 cents out of that one stream. So if you're a large artist like any one of those big boys, it's like it takes a lot of songs for them to get their money back. As an up-and-coming artist, it takes a ton of songs to...
Well, haven't they just brought in a new rule with Spotify where if you... Is it something like you don't get 1,000 plays, then there's no money?
There's no money, yep. They just hold that, that
And
money.
then significantly, they just announced record profits.
Yes, yeah. So Spotify is... it's a means to an end, and it's so big at the moment that you need to have your music on there so people can find your music. Yeah, it's probably one of our bears that we've got to go through, but I hope it changes, because and not just for me, like for other artists that I see out there, and it's like producing and recording music, it's a very expensive investment.
It is.
And when you're not making the return on streaming services, it's really hard, and it does put a lot of artists off. And there's there's a massive amount of artists out there that are so talented, so good, but they just get put off because they make this investment, but they're not getting their return back through their streaming services. So it's about getting out there, performing live, selling merch. Like I sell a lot of merch when we go out performing. So it's selling merch, performing live, and getting people supporting you that way.
So I'll put also links for the merch down in
yes, that'd be awesome.
down in the description below as well. So anyone who's interested can jump on and grab some Jase Lansky merch.
Fantastic. But yeah, so just if you want to be an artist or a musician or whatever you want to do, just don't rely on streaming services to make a living out of it, because it won't work.
Okay, this is an interesting one. When we talk about selling merch, which is merchandise, I would imagine T-shirts, hats. How do you go about doing that these days? I've heard of a few different ways, but what is your way of going about doing merchandise and making it cost effective?
Sure. Again, it's another investment. It's no good going and buying 10 stubby coolers or producing 10 stubby coolers and hoping that you'll sell the 10 stubby coolers, because those 10 stubby coolers will cost you a fortune to make. So you've got to buy in bulk. Here in Australia, you can do that quite easily. There's a company that, for stubby coolers, for instance, there's a company on the Gold Coast here called Just Coolers. They probably make the best coolers around, beer coolers around. But you do pay for them. I think, I prefer having a good quality cooler to give away or to sell rather than having a thin cooler that breaks after a couple of... But that's
what about
just me.
T-shirts?
T-shirts, I go through... Well, now you can order them straight directly online, and I get them produced I get them produced offshore. So, like, you can jump on my website, order a T-shirt online, and you'll have it within a week.
And caps, the same thing?
Same thing. So where we used to have to stockpile them and spend a lot of money on that, you no longer have to do that, because there's companies out there that will arrange
And I would imagine that you would have a small supply of them.
Oh, I do.
That you take around to sell at gigs.
Yeah. So and that's where you make your living as well. Pardon me, is through that merchandise sale. So make sure you've got merchandise on hand when you do a gig. Even if you're playing in a pub, just get some stubby coolers, sell them for your $10. Your T-shirts or your caps. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah.
Every little bit from
Helps.
every little area can make, if it all adds up, and at the end of the day can make a difference.
And even when you've got people following your site, on a website, and even on your social media sites, if you can convert 200 people into spending $10 a month on your product or on your merchandise, that can become an income, an annual income. So if you can, if you've got 200 people following you and they all spend $10 a month, that builds up. So you just build up that fan base. So that money builds up every month and becomes an annual income. So there's ways and means about it. So just don't rely on streaming
You just got to find those people that love what you do.
Yep.
And keep producing fresh new product.
That's it. Yeah. So you'll often find with my stuff, like I'll always come out with fresh merchandise. So every single that I release to radio will come up with a stubby cooler for that single. So it's just keeping it all fresh and up to date and so forth. And then you still have your generic ones, like I'll have my generic Jase Lansky stubby coolers, my generic Jase Lansky T-shirts and so forth. But it's every now and again you just do a set run of specific merchandise for specific songs. So, and that seems to work as well. So when you do a single release, like if you're playing somewhere doing a single release, you have that merchandise on sale, ready to go, and people will buy it. Yeah. So, which is good. So there's ways and means around it. So,
do you find going out and doing country towns that people are more receptive to your stuff than, say, even here on the Gold Coast?
I do. That's why we travel so much, because on the Gold Coast, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore the Gold Coast. That's why I live here. But as a country artist, it's very tough to get gigs on the Gold Coast as a country artist. So you need to make sure that if you're a country artist, you need to make sure that your music does change so you can play all styles of music on the Gold Coast. Which I'm sort of lucky, sort of like you. I'm sort of lucky where I've grown up with alternative music. I've grown up with rock music, so I can sort of go to a pub up here on the Gold Coast and play different styles of music. But my passion is country, so I try not to do that. So that's why I travel so much and play for small towns and places like that. And I enjoy, like every small town we go to, you invest in that small town as well. So don't just go out to a small town, perform and take their money and be done with it. Like we always go out, every time we go to a small town, we also make sure that we go and spend into their community as well. Sheree and I have often raised a lot of money for different charities within different communities for the Country Women's Association, for those sorts of things. So it's always good to give back as well. And small towns really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So it's all about making sure, again, just don't go to these communities and take their money and run. Go and support these communities as well. And that works back tenfold for you, because they'll get you back, understanding that that's what you do as an artist, and they're always happy to have you back. Yeah, that's what I enjoy doing.
Yeah. When you started out and along the journey along the way, did you have anybody that you looked up to that you would say was a mentor, or what was the motivational force behind doing? Was there somebody that you could see, that's where I want to do that, what that person does? How did that manifest itself?
This is going to sound really weird, so I'm not sure if you're going to put it in there, but I got to tell you, I remember going and seeing, I was playing, but I remember going and seeing Keith Urban play with Rusty Near's Rockettes.
Yep.
Benoa Tavern back in the day, and I'm standing there as a young kid, and there's like women everywhere just going crazy. I went, how good is this? That man inspired me to become a full-time musician, like a musician.
Okay.
So yeah, so Keith Urban, and he wasn't even playing a lot back then. He was a mad guitarist. Was singing a few songs, but it was all about Rusty.
It was a great band.
Yeah.
Really, really good band.
So yeah, so that was sort of my inspiration to take this on seriously. It's like, wow, okay, this looks like a good time. But yeah. But as for artists, like people like I remember watching Eddie and the Cruisers one time and really enjoyed that style of music as well. So that sort of inspired me to go down that path of style. It wasn't so much Eddie and the Cruisers the first movie; it was more the second movie. Just a great artist. It's very similar to Bruce Springsteen's style of music. And that really inspired me as well. So people like that too, like John Cougar Mellencamp
So very much singer-songwriters.
Yeah, so I really enjoy that. So not that I'd ever put myself in their sort of shoes, but it's like they were just great representatives of that style of music as well. So and if you listen to John Cougar music now, back in the day it was classed as pop, but now you listen to it and it's going, no, that's right in that country sort of...
It does have a very country rock vibe.
So it's funny how everything sort of turned around and upside down and flipped itself, but yeah, I enjoyed that. As I said, like I grew up listening to Kurt Cobain. As a songwriter, he was just out there. He was like amazing with his lyrics, and he would spend days and days on end just writing songs, just writing lyrics and poems and words, and then somehow putting them all together. So that inspired me as well. So as a musician.
Yeah. What do you do these days to look after your health? Because going out on the road, touring, singing, takes its toll.
It does.
What are the sort of things that you do to maintain good health?
That's a good question, and it's one thing that everyone should be, as a vocalist, everyone should be doing. I struggled with that for a while, and to the point where I've had cameras down my throat to see what was going on with my throat, and that's not a nice experience. So as a songwriter, you just want to protect your vocal cords. Probably don't drink a lot of alcohol. Stick to sort of warm teas and so forth if you can. If you want to take it seriously, like if you just want to be an average artist, knock yourselves out. But if you want to take singing seriously, then just study hard. Talk to vocal coaches, see what they recommend. Like if you talk to certain people, they give you different styles of looking after your vocal cords. So, but I'd talk to a good vocal coach here on the Gold Coast or wherever you're situated. Have a chat with those guys and see what they come up with.
How important is video now to go along with the music? Yeah,
sure. Music videos for me are extremely important because it gets your name out there into the market. It's one of those things that you should try and invest in if you can afford to, but it's not cheap. It's one of those things with music. Music's not cheap, man. It's like buying a boat. It's like, oh, God damn it. But yeah, music videos to me are very important, and I think I've got about 6 music videos out there at the moment with some of the songs that I've selected off my album and a couple of my singles.
Feeling fine, drinking time, we got nothing on plan. Dixie girl, feel no more, yeah. Ain't nowhere I'd rather be than here with you, and we're feeling fine, living beach time, tossing the sand.
And for me as a country artist, getting them on CMT is highly promotional for my music, because you do want to see your music out there on channels like CMT, and there's a bunch of other channels overseas that you can get your music on as well. But highly important to do that, and try and get a good producer or a good director for music videos. It's I've seen some cheap where you can do it quite cheaply, but if you're going to do a cheap video, make sure you've got
Great ideas.
Yeah, great ideas with that cheap video. We've done music videos in the Blowhole down at Kiama. I've done music videos in Wollongong. So it just depends on what you want to spend, but make sure you do have a budget for it, because no good trying to get a music video without a budget, because you need to make sure you budget for it, because you can blow it out.
When you're going through and setting up, do you actually, you very strictly say, I have this much money to spend and that's it? Or
I do. Once you put the storyboard out and send it through, like in my case, I sent it to Jay, and he'll go, yep, okay, we can do this, and do this, and he'll send me the price through, go, yep, you're happy with that. If he's got to come up here, like we'll fly him up here, or I'll fly down there. So make sure you stick to your budget. And
whose responsibility is to stick to budget?
Oh, definitely mine, because I'm paying the bills.
I ain't hurting no you. Ain't nobody listening what to do. Guess I'll just go fishing, yeah. Try to catch me some of the rain. Better watch that driving pain like I'm not hurting over you.
We might do one in the future, but for now, I'd have to say thank you very much, Jase.
Scotty, it's been an absolute pleasure, buddy. Thank you for having me, and I hope I've helped someone in some minute little way with just a bit of my knowledge.
There's a lot of great info in there. And with all of these podcasts that we're doing, it's all about showcasing people's path through music, and everybody has a different story to tell, and everybody has a different path. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for sticking around to the end, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Cheers,
Thanks.
mate.
Thank you, buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers.